I'm going to talk today about, the title of my study is The More Games the Better, Camogie, a player welfare, or player's perspective. So I guess in response to increasing performances in Camogie, the increased demands of being a Camogie player, increased commitment of being a Camogie player, the Camogie Association placed player welfare directly on their agenda in their last strategic plan. Excuse me. Now, player welfare typically involves providing information about diet, about fitness, maybe doping, insurance, injuries, but its remit has extended somewhat to cater for providing support around education, careers, counselling, and I suppose overall looking after the general well-being and health of the player. And in a Camogie context, what we decided to do was to let the ideas and opinions of players guide our activities in relation to player welfare. So to this end, we administered a player welfare survey online. We used lots of different fora. We wanted to get a national sample of players, and we conducted 2 focus groups with a sample of college, club and county players. And I suppose what we found is, I think, women are great. They're heavily invested in their sport. They play for about 9.5 months of the year, up to 11 months if you're involved in several different teams. And they train between 3 and 6 times per week. And I suppose reflecting my title, they were unequivocal in the fact that they love playing games, and the more games, the better. In relation to the club-county dilemma, about 2/3 of club players felt that Camogie or inter-county activities negatively influenced their Camogie experience. At all levels, Camogie affected the players' social life, their family commitments, and their college and work commitments as well. They're very committed players. They travel large distances of time to training and to matches, but a very, very small minority receive any expenses or money for that particular indication of commitment. In terms of health, alcohol consumption levels were pretty much the norm. Smoking was very low, and about 1 in 5 had engaged in some type of health screening. And finally, in relation to rules, the players were quite happy with the rules. They had problems with interpretations of themselves, their own interpretation, referees' interpretations as well. And they had issues with managing discipline in Camogie and the use of red and yellow cards. So I suppose, what does that mean? Well, Camogie players by and large seem to be a very happy, content bunch. And I think their expectations in relation to player welfare simply relate to support to improve their performance, the longevity and the enjoyment of their Camogie career. Nothing beyond, I suppose, our capabilities as a Camogie association. Secondly, in an issue that's kind of pervading across Gaelic games, the club players at risk a little bit. You saw that they felt that inter-county activity negatively affects their experience. But also, what I was surprised was very low expectations and low standards at club levels, and this was kind of fine, this was accepted. And I think this might be related to that discussion we were having earlier on dropout, and it's something that we need to consider, that maintaining standards at club level as well. And lastly, throughout my involvement with Camogie for this particular piece of research, I felt that there was an overemphasis on success and performance, and I'm very much an advocate of the role of sport in health promotion. And I talk about health promotion, I'm talking about areas such as looking at alcohol consumption, looking at drug use, maybe looking at smoking, but also looking at areas such as mental well-being, stress, anxiety, bullying. All of those would be encompassed into health promotion. But I also think health promotion relates to the day-to-day activities of a club in terms of having a healthy coaching environment. And I think if we work on those 2 things, there is a potential for us to influence the player and the group in terms of developing them as an individual, socially, emotionally and environmentally as well. I think, coming back to that dropout issue, if we can show parents, show children, show all members this wide array of benefits from sport, again, we're more likely to retain their participation across the lifespan. And my last point relates to, as I'm sitting there, we're providing fantastic evidence and data about participation and why people play sport and why they don't play sport, but we really need to start bridging the gap between science and practice. We need to translate all of this information into real-life settings so that we can actually have an influence on the ground in terms of participation in our games. Thank you very much.